Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. Of course, during this last week, the main thing that we had in terms of weather was really nice conditions. We did have a little bit of fog last weekend in portions of eastern Nebraska. It took a while to burn that fog off, but we did actually see the sunshine, and we actually seen some above normal temperatures. Now, as we've gone through this week, we did see a front move through that brought in slightly cooler temperatures, but once again, the ridge is going to rebuild back into our region, and we're looking at very nice harvest activity weather once again through at least the middle of next week before we see yet another storm system come into our region that might, and I say might, give us a shot of some acceptable moisture, particularly in eastern Nebraska. But if you're in the western half of the state, not a very promising picture in terms of moisture. So let's get right to the weather models. And one thing I'll draw your attention to, in the upper atmosphere we have this big ridge. The little low pressure system is moving along the periphery of this ridge. We'll bring the wet and inclement weather to the upper Midwest, but will bypass us. The ridge starts building as we go into Sunday, bringing much warmer conditions into our region. We do have a surface low down in Texas that will remain fairly stationary. And then we will see that basically that ridge remains in place on Monday, so very nice conditions. And then as we go into Tuesday, we start to see some energy moving into the southwestern United States, and that'll start moving up into the northern Rockies, and some of that will start to impact us as we get into Wednesday, and that spillover may generate some precipitation in eastern Nebraska. More importantly, it looks like this more significant moisture will be to the east of us, and then the ridge builds right back in on Thursday, and we start to see a warming trend. And as we get into Friday, we see another piece of wave moving out across the southern plains with this cold front coming down from the north, showing us a potential for some convergence here in the central United States and maybe a little bit of precipitation as we go into next weekend, although the latest models are indicating that some of that may actually fall in western Nebraska. Now, as we go into the precipitation, what you will notice is very high and dry, heavy precipitation up in the northeast, and that kind of moves out with some snow raining tomorrow, a little bit of precipitation coming into the western United States, and on Monday it starts to move farther inshore, a little bit in the southern plains, starts to break out on Tuesday. Some of this actually skirting up into extreme southeastern Nebraska, and you'll see that the heavier precipitation breaks out over Iowa on Wednesday, leaving most of Nebraska dry, and then we start to see that ridge build back in with very little in the way of precipitation. Here comes our next piece of energy coming into the southwest that will eventually start to move that moisture into the central plains. The big question is, who will get the moisture once it does emerge next weekend? Now, as we look at the 8 to 14 day forecast from the following next Thursday to the following Tuesday, we do indicate that the ridge is going to remain in place with that trough pretty much stationary over the western United States, and CPC does increase precipitation for the western two-thirds of the United States. Now, I will say this, based on what I've seen in the models, this is way overdone. Basically, we're looking at the southwest and the interior mountain regions up into the northern plains and the Great Lakes, but a large substantial area in the central and southern plains right now does not look like it's going to see much in the way of significant moisture. Now, the Climate Prediction Center has issued their 3-month forecast, and this would take us from November through January, indicating above normal temperatures across the southwestern and southern plains, extending all the way to the southeastern United States. And in terms of precipitation, we see 2 primary areas above normal precipitation: Montana down through northern portions of Wyoming, and then of course the Great Lakes region. I think that this will probably push a little bit farther to the west, and of course we'll see much more precipitation in the eastern Corn Belt for us. I think this is a fairly safe forecast, equal chances of above normal, below normal, or normal moisture.